My subordinates, they were famed far and wide. Why did I have to lose them all? My friends were lost to me precisely because they were still alive. If they had all been zombies, dead from the start, I would have lost nothing. GECKO MORIA is, how shall we put this, a unique looking individual who was present at the execution of Pirate King Gol D. Roger, and who subsequently became part of the original generation of pirates who set out to find the One Piece and become the new Pirate King. And while we know very little of his early days as a pirate, it's clear that MORIA was quite successful in his pursuits, having sailed through the first half of the Grand Line and even entering the New World. At his peak, GECKO MORIA held a bounty of 320 million berries, and furthermore, his crew also consisted of famed pirates known throughout the globe. So this is sounding like a pretty happy story so far, but I'm afraid it's all downhill from here. So exactly where did it all go wrong for GECKO MORIA? Well, at a certain point in history, MORIA was considered the equal of a pirate by the name of Kaido, whom we now know as one of the 4 emperors and the strongest living creature in the world. So presuming this is true, Kaido would go on to quickly surpass MORIA in terms of strength, and the two would clash in the New World. Not only did MORIA lose this battle, but his entire crew was killed in the conflict. And this event here is really what would shape the MORIA we know today. While he still maintains his dream of one day becoming the Pirate King, MORIA would turn to a rather unique course of action in order to ensure that he would never have to endure the suffering of losing his comrades ever again. And to be blunt, that action is zombies. The basic idea behind this ideology was firstly to create a crew that he had no real emotional attachment to, and secondly that even if a zombie were to be defeated, then he could easily just replace it. Also, as time went on, one of MORIA's main ambitions in life became to create a zombie strong enough to defeat Kaido. But before we get to that, let's examine exactly how MORIA is able to reanimate the dead. Firstly, we need to point out that GECKO MORIA ate a devil fruit known as the KAGE no Mi, a paramecia type fruit that gives its user the ability to generate and manipulate shadows. Now that probably doesn't sound all that great at first, but this ability is actually absurdly powerful, primarily because it allows the user to quite literally take other people's shadows. And the theft of one's shadow can be quite devastating because apparently, without your shadow in the One Piece world at least, you will be completely vaporized if you come into contact with sunlight. So under the right conditions, this one ability is an instant kill for MORIA, but the fruit's benefits do not stop there. After taking a shadow, MORIA is able to reinsert that shadow into another body. MORIA generally uses corpses for this purpose, and thus he is able to create what we are going to call zombies. It's important to note that these zombies do possess the characteristics of the person whose shadow was stolen, however eventually all of the zombies do become subservient to MORIA. In addition, MORIA is also able to manipulate his own shadow to great success, and is even capable of creating shadow clones to fight for him. The second feature is quite important because it further emphasizes MORIA's attitude towards combat in his post-New World years. In general, MORIA prefers not to fight himself, favoring the use of zombies and shadows. His philosophy has changed to the point where MORIA has even stated that he will become the Pirate King, based on the strength of others. And as a result, MORIA has more than likely become much physically weaker than he was in the prime of his pirate days. Despite that, he is still a formidable force, particularly when he engages in his Devil Fruit's most powerful feature. Using a technique known as Shadow's Asgard, MORIA is also able to insert shadows into his own body, which increases his power. Currently, he is able to absorb at least 1,000 shadows at any given time. However, his resulting form is quite slow, and he has difficulty maintaining all of the shadows within himself. At some stage during his career, MORIA's power was recognized by the world government, and he was offered a position as one of the 7 warlords of the sea, which he accepted. MORIA's first actual introduction into the series would be during the Thriller Bark arc, where he served as the main antagonist. By this time, MORIA was captain of the world's largest pirate ship, Thriller Bark, and during this portion of the story, he managed to steal the shadows of Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Robin, as well as Brook. MORIA decided to insert Luffy's shadow into the corpse of Oars, a legendary creature that he had discovered frozen in an ice country. Furthermore, MORIA outfitted Oars with a cockpit that he can use to somewhat pilot him, like a giant robot. And just to add another thing to the list of crazy things that MORIA's Devil Fruit can do, MORIA was able to use his Devil Fruit abilities to make Oars stretch and fully capable of mimicking Luffy's attacks. While inside Oars, MORIA would quite successfully combat the entirety of the Straw Hat Pirates, well, that is until Nightmare Luffy showed up, at which point Luffy proceeded to decimate Oars and MORIA inside of him with the help of his crew, and MORIA was seemingly defeated. However, proving surprisingly durable, MORIA would emerge and activate Shadow's Asgard, absorbing a total total of 1,000 shadows and engaging in a one-on-one battle with Luffy. During this boss battle, Luffy just continuously beat shadows out of Moria until he finally finished him off using a gear 3rd attack. Moria then lost consciousness, and as a result the rest of the shadows he had captured were released and returned to their original owners. Moria would then go on to be rescued by his living subordinates Dr. Hogback and Absalom and transported to Marineford to fulfill his duty as a warlord of the sea and participate in the Paramount War. Moria's most prominent action during the conflict would be a one-on-one duel with former warlord of the sea Jinbei, although it must be noted that Moria was rather easily overcome by the incredibly powerful fishmen. However, Moria did have at least one moment of glory during the battle, managing to impale the mighty Oars Jr. with his devil fruit abilities. After the war, Moria was attacked by fellow warlord of the sea Don Quixote do Flamingo, who claimed that Moria was too weak to continue serving as a warlord, and that he had received orders from a source even higher up than Fleet Admiral Sengoku to eliminate Moria. Moria's supposed death was published with the claim that he perished during the Paramount War. However, we were later informed that Doflamingo's assassination attempt failed and that Moria is actually alive and well somewhere in the New World. Some more fun facts about GECKO Moria. Following his defeat, Moria would be the bearer of a prophecy, when he told Luffy that he and his crew weren't strong enough to survive in the New World, and in the arc immediately following Thriller Bark, Luffy would go on to lose his entire crew for 2 whole years. GECKO Moria was the first character in the series to be able to imitate Luffy's devil fruit abilities via the use of his shadow manipulation powers. However, he would not be the last, with both Charlotte Brûlée and Charlotte Katakuri also proving capable of mimicking Luffy's stretching.